Todd, thank you. Hundreds of people came out to see Vice President J.D. Vance at a rally at Bangor International Airport yesterday.
6 of those in attendance were Republican gubernatorial candidates. They heard Vance not only rally Republicans behind the Trump-Vance administration, but for U.S. House candidate and former Governor Paul LePage. He's running unopposed in the Republican primary for the 2nd Congressional District seat, which is being vacated by Democrat Jared Golden. Vance's 30-minute speech yesterday was focused on the fraud task force he leads. It investigates federally funded state-administered programs like MaineCare, our version of Medicaid. Its 2026 budget is $4.7 billion, with $3 billion in federal funds. The administration points to $2 million in alleged overbilling by one non-government organization owned by Somali immigrants and a potential $45 million in overbilling for services for people with autism.
And oh, by the way, what happened to the autistic children and their families who actually need those services and need a competent government to ensure that they're doing the right thing? My friends, this has gone on for far too long. You have been fleeced by your own government for far too long, and we are stopping it every single day.
Vance says Maine could be the bronze medalist for fraud after much larger states like California and Minnesota. The vice president says fraud cases uncovered so far may be the tip of the iceberg, and he says he hopes for greater cooperation with the state on these probes. In response, Governor Mills told us her administration holds Medicaid service providers to license requirements and high standards of care and accountability.
A few dozen people gathered across the street from Vice President Vance's rally to protest him being here. Several Democratic politicians running for office were in attendance and spoke at the event, including Democratic gubernatorial candidate Shenna Bellows and CD2 Democratic candidates CD2 Democratic candidates Matt Dunlap and Jordan Wood. The group condemning a number of Trump administration policies, including ICE enforcement, the war in Iran, access to reproductive health care. When we asked about fraud, Bellows and Dunlap said they don't believe it's a widespread issue in our state.
When fraud occurs, we will catch it and we will hold the perpetrators accountable. But to target an entire state, to make threats just in the name of a few bad actors to punish the rest of us is absurd.
To sort of portray this as a widespread systemic problem really just affords them the excuse to shut that funding off to people who actually need it so they can use it for other things that don't do anything to help working families.
Supporters of the Trump administration who were there say they believe the state does need to partner with federal agencies to uncover any potential fraud that is out there, and adding that they're hoping to get money back into Mainers' pockets.
The city of Portland is making final preparations for 2 competing faith-based events today. Turning Point USA is co-hosting an event with Calvary Chapel Greater Portland at the Portland Expo. It's part of the Make Heaven Crowded tour. Staff at Calvary Chapel say that the event will be entirely faith-focused, featuring a mix of church and Turning Point speakers. They say they've been working with Portland Parks and Rec staff and police to ensure proper safety measures are taken for the event. There's also set to be an alternative event held in response. More than 20 faith-based organizations are organizing it, arguing that Turning Point USA consistently spreads hate toward immigrants and transgender people. Calvary Chapel officials say that that is not the case.
The misrepresentation that has taken place, that this is some sort of political event, anti-anything, it is not that. The real disagreement would be with the Bible.
The golden rule, love your neighbor, it shows up in every faith tradition, every major religion, every world religion. And we want to really live into that. And we think the organizations like Turning Point USA are not living into that.
Leaders with the City of Portland and the Portland Police Department wrote in part in a statement that they're consistently assessing information to make appropriate preparations for each event that comes along. The Democrats running for governor here in Maine shared their policy plans if they were elected governor during a News Center Maine Voice of the Voter debate last night.
Our moderators, among other things, asked them about housing, education, how they plan to pay for some extensive spending that some candidates are proposing. Our Christian Harsa wraps up the debate.
Tonight you're going to hear from all 5 Democratic candidates for governor.
And all 5 are vying for the votes of Mainers on June 9th, hoping to prove they are the best to lead the state.
I have a lot of experience with budgets.
All 5 candidates want to make improvements to Maine's programs, primarily paid through tax increases.
Those who can pay more should pay more.
The recently approved millionaire's tax was a crowd favorite.
And I would double the millionaire's tax from what the legislature already has done. I think 4% is a much fairer way.
Taxing tourists is also on the table. All but Shanabello said on stage they support seasonal tax increases just during the summer.
But I don't know that I need more information on how other states do that.
Angus King III and Nirav Shah said they support increasing the lodging tax, but stopped short of endorsing more sales or meals taxes.
Both of those also place additional burden on Maine people who are going out to eat or just buying things.
One tax the candidates don't like: property taxes. They propose increasing the state's homestead exemption, currently $25,000. Some want to do even more: higher taxes for the second homes of out-of-staters.
It would require us to open up our state constitution. But as I travel the state of Maine, I talk to Republicans and Democrats and independents who are frustrated.
Over the course of the debate, the candidates propose spending hundreds of millions on state programs, such as Medicare and housing. Universal child care specifically, Shanabello said, would cost $400 million.
We're already spending some of these costs on health care and child care in other ways. And we're seeing it in the fact that young people are not staying in our state.
King, conversely, didn't offer up large spending plans.
I'm trying to be as careful as I can be, not making financial promises during this campaign, because I think we're all going to have to tighten our belts in the future, given the cuts that are coming from the feds.
In less than a month, these 5 Democrats will be competing once again on the June 9th ballot. In Portland, Christian Harsa, News Center, Maine.
And if you missed either the Democratic or the Republican debates from this week, you can watch each of them by going to our News Center Maine streaming app, which is free. Plus, if you want to learn more about the candidates, we have profiles of all 12 of them on our website.